On the morning of August 26, 2015, WDBJ reporter 24-year-old Allison Parker and her cameraman 27-year-old Adam Ward visited the Bridgewater Plaza near Smith Mountain Lake in Virginia.
Not the Bridgewater Plaza! Nothing good comes from this place.
Their goal was to do a live interview with the executive director of the local Chamber of Commerce, Vicki Gardner, about an upcoming event at the lake. Things went just as planned initially, with Adam setting up the camera equipment and Allison starting the interview at 6:45 a.m.
I can't even see their faces. Like, this is actual potato quality. But, okay, I'll take your word for it. This is really
What none
the
of them
people.
knew, however, was that they were about to become the victims of a crazed stalker. Just seconds into the interview, an armed man walked up to the group and opened fire.
Oh,
the live
Jesus.
feed cut back to the in-studio reporter, who was just as shocked at what happened as the many viewers watching live.
Okay, not sure what happened there. We will, of course, let you know as soon as we find out what those sounds were from.
On live TV. Live TV. A crazy man runs up and starts shooting people on live TV. And this anchor has to just pick up that slack and say, we don't know what just happened.
Tragically, by the time first responders arrived, both Allison and Adam had already succumbed to their injuries and passed away. Vicki was badly hurt as well, but she managed to play dead and ultimately survive the encounter despite getting shot in the back. As for the perpetrator, he had already fled the scene by this point. And with no nearby CCTV capturing a clear image of his face or vehicle, investigators were left at a dead end. But then, someone at the WDBJ network analyzed the footage further, which revealed one blurry but still recognizable frame of the person responsible for this tragedy.
Wow, so I think his name was Matt. Matt fell down with the camera, dying, and he got his face. That's quite something.
This was 41-year-old Vester Lee Flanagan, a former WDBJ reporter who went by the professional name of Bryce Williams. He'd actually worked with both
Wait,
Allison
what?
and
That's
Adam
him?
in the WDBJ name of the person
It kind of does look like him, guys. So, you know what? I'm going to say it was him. Definitely him. And he was a crazed stalker who literally worked with these two people. The cameraman and the newswoman that was there and also died.
person responsible for this tragedy. This was 41-year-old Vester Lee Flanagan, a former WDBJ reporter who went by the professional name of Bryce Williams. He'd actually worked with both Allison and Adam in the past, but was fired from his job after higher-ups received several reports of workplace aggression. However, what seemed like a disgruntled ex-employee lashing out at his former colleagues at first turned out to have a far darker backstory to it. You see, Vester had an extensive history of being difficult to work with, long before he joined WDBJ. He was fired from one of his early reporting jobs from NBC affiliate WTWC in the year 2000 for, quote, odd behavior towards his coworkers. While the exact reason for his termination was never revealed to the public, from what I was able to find, it had something to do with him being aggressive and trying to intimidate others. But instead of admitting fault, he filed a racial discrimination lawsuit against his employer, which eventually ended with an out-of-court settlement. However,
That's when you know the character is top tier. Oh, really? I'm being a piece of shit? You're just racist. You're actually just racist. I know that I'm literally stalking you, you know, I'm literally sexually harassing you, I'm literally being aggressive, I'm challenging people to fights, I'm being rude, I'm being mean, I'm being awful, just generally a shitty person. That's quite literally your opinion. My opinion is, you're racist. Fuck you.
that was only the beginning.
Typical
From
move.
there, he found work at multiple other stations, but struggled to build a career at one place, largely due to the many altercations he got into with his colleagues. He had severe anger management issues and would often resort to physically confronting his coworkers over even the smallest disagreements.
He had increasing conflicts with people at the station, especially the floor crew, some of the other reporters, some of the photographers in the field, to the point where he was threatening people, had some physical confrontations with a couple of people, and at one point became such a distraction that we finally had to terminate him.
He eventually
I
secured a
was just gonna
position at
ask if they fired
WDBJ
him.
in March of 2012, and it was the same story once again. It didn't take long for him to fall into the same pattern of anger and bullying there as well. Just months into his employment, the WDBJ management had already received multiple reports of his coworkers feeling threatened or uncomfortable working with him. In fact, his behavior at
Didn't take long. Didn't take long. Started right back up.
DBJ was worse than at any of his previous jobs, leading to his termination in January 2013, less than a year after he started. He even had to be escorted out by police when he refused to accept his termination and threatened his superiors with violence. Vester once again tried to play the racial discrimination card and singled out Allison and Adam for the alleged racist behavior. Vester once...
With a face like this, okay? With a face like this, I am honestly shocked that anything bad could ever come from this man. I mean, just a truly a kind soul. Just from, outer appearances here. I'm shocked.
Again tried to play the racial discrimination card and singled out Allison and Adam for the alleged racist behavior. However, a third-party investigation didn't find any evidence of discrimination and his case was thrown out. He likely named them because he knew they were among the coworkers who had filed complaints against him. After his shameful termination from WDBJ, he struggled to find work elsewhere in the industry, and his resentment against the two colleagues he believed had destroyed his life only grew with each setback.
So
This
he killed
resentment
him!
reached its tipping point on the morning of August 26, 2015. He tracked down where Allison and Adam were doing their next job and stalked them as they were getting ready to go live. As soon as they began the interview, Vester walked up to them and opened fire. But this was only part one of his plan. You see, while Adam's camera did...
That's what's crazy is Mr. Flanagan waited until they went live on the air in the middle of an interview to kill them. And not only did he do that, but he also tried to kill the person they were interviewing who had nothing to do with this grudge. Craziness, man.
Catch Vester for a split second, the footage wasn't clear enough for the investigators to name him as the prime suspect with complete certainty. Fortunately, this doubt vanished quickly when, at 8:26 a.m., Vester faxed a 23-page manifesto to ABC News, admitting to everything. Though most of these pages were filled with nothing more than the incoherent ramblings of an extremely angry and mentally unwell man. In them, he described himself as a...
Okay, so Mr. Flanagan expressed his admiration for one of the people who killed 32 people at Virginia Tech. So he likes mass shooters a lot, so that's good. Typical good guy. He also referenced the guy that wanted to start a race war by killing people in the church. In the final weeks of my life, I put on a smiley face to disguise what was to come, he said. Around town, I told some random strangers or people I interacted with at various businesses how I hated people, but I would often say it with a smile on my face. Mr. Flanagan, you are a disturbed individual, sir.
Human powder keg just waiting to go boom, how he was angry at the world and mentioned the Charleston church incident as his tipping point. How that connected to him taking the lives of his former coworkers was never entirely clear. Then, at 11:14 a.m., he also uploaded a video of the crime he'd recorded from his point of view on Facebook. This left no doubt that Vester was the one behind the incident, prompting an immediate nationwide manhunt. Tracing his cell phone allowed the officers to...
This is his video. Is that his video for real? This is his video? He just walks up behind them like this? Terrifying. No! That's awful.
A video of the crime he'd recorded from his point of view on Facebook. This left no doubt that Vester was the one behind the incident, prompting an immediate nationwide manhunt.
I thought he came from over
Tracing
there,
his cell
but
phone
no,
allowed
this
the
was
officers
his
to find him on
video.
the highway, attempting to flee the state in a rented vehicle at 11:20 a.m. But when they tried to pull him over, he sped up and eventually crashed onto the side of the road. And before the officers could reach his car, he decided to end the chase with the firearm he had on him, bringing the manhunt to a sudden, shocking conclusion.
He took the coward's way out, folks. He didn't want to face justice. Again, there has to be so many other underlying issues, which they said. He was obviously severely, anger problems, but he also was very mentally unwell. Yes. Especially because, understand, he literally ended himself and ended multiple other people because he lost his job. He lost his job due to his own actions, right? Twice. 2 different jobs fired him. Couldn't find work in the same industry because of his actions twice. And then just said, well, I think the next logical step to this is going to be to kill a couple of my coworkers that I used to work with and then kill myself. Sounds good.
On the 25th of June 2014, Charles Bothell went on the Nancy Grace Show seeking the public's help in finding his missing son. 12-year-old
Nancy Grace, we already know it's gonna be good. Let's go.
Charlie was first reported missing from his home in Detroit, Michigan 11 days ago on June 14th. His father, Charles, had been doing everything in his power to help locate his son, from going door to door in his neighborhood to spreading missing person posters throughout the city. Unfortunately, despite dozens of people, including the FBI, looking for him, the young boy was nowhere to be found. And the hope of finding him alive was diminishing with each passing day. Appearing on live TV was Charles' last-ditch effort to raise awareness about his son's disappearance, hoping some...
So this, I'm struggling to figure out how this is going to be something that got caught on live TV. Because that's the premise of this whole video, is it's got to be live, it's something disturbing caught on live TV. There's a missing kid here. What's going on live TV? I am struggling to make any guesses here.
with information might see the show. However, just minutes into the broadcast, the interview took a bizarre turn when Nancy received a report that no one expected.
Was it the... I was just going to say, was it the father that had something to do with this? Now, Nancy Grace is about to say something about the father, and oh, look at the banner literally says, Dad learns on TV his son is found in his basement. How's he going to react to this? Oh, gee willikers, I checked down there 7 times. I didn't find him. Who put him in there? Who put him in there? What the fuck?
Of the
You're
missing
a piece of shit.
12-year-old boy, Charlie. With me is his father, Charlie Bothell. Charlie, we're getting reports that your son has
Watch his face.
been found in your basement.
What?
Sir?
Apparently,
He didn't even have words for that one, baby. All he had was a...
while Charles was on TV,
Christ.
investigators obtained a search warrant to conduct a thorough search of his home. There, they found Charlie huddled in the basement behind a massive pile of barrels and boxes. Upon hearing the news of his son's discovery, Charles reacted with complete shock.
How could your son be alive in your basement?
He's panicking. He's panicking, and I'll tell you why. Because he's fucked. That's why.
I have no.
How could this be?
Ideal.
However, something about his reaction felt extremely off. Many argued that a normal father would have ended the interview immediately and rushed to the son he hadn't seen in 11 days. Charles, on the other hand, seemed more concerned with denying the report and trying to prove his innocence.
Sir, did you check your basement?
No, never. I couldn't imagine checking my basement. I mean, actually, more likely he's going to be like, speaking in friggin' SpongeBob language at rock bottom. I don't know why he was in my basement.
I checked my basement. The FBI checked my basement. The Detroit police checked my basement. My wife checked my basement. I've been down there several times. We've all been checking.
He even lashed out at other reporters
Interesting. So you waited until everyone checked your basement and then moved him to your basement.
for insinuating that he knowingly forced his son to hide in the basement, when in reality his actions were far more cruel than anyone could have expected. The truth came to light as soon as the investigators found Charlie. According to him, his stepmother, Monique Dillard Bothell, was the one who ordered him to hide in the basement. She also told him not to make any sound, no matter what he heard. From there, they spread the rumor that their son had gone missing and began looking for him. But despite their cries for help, they were very uncooperative with the police to ensure that Charlie wouldn't be found. Investigators only sought the search warrant because they suspected Charlie was already dead. As for why the couple would do this,
Okay, because I was gonna say, there's no way that this guy didn't have anything to do with it. Okay? There is no way. So, I was gonna say for a second, you're telling me he didn't know and the stepmother, the evil stepmother, had everything to do with it? I don't know about that.
that remains a mystery to this day. Both have continued to claim they knew nothing about Charlie's whereabouts. Though, given what we know, the most likely explanation is that they wanted to exert even more control over his life. You see, when the investigators located Charlie, he had severe cuts and bruises on his body, likely from his parents. In addition to that, growing up, he also had to endure a grueling daily exercise routine that included 100 push-ups, 200 sit-ups, and 100 jumping jacks twice a day.
I've heard of other parents that abuse their kids. They also did stuff like that, like the really bad abuse cases. They'd like make the kid, stand on a wall in a squatting position for like until they just couldn't do it anymore. Make them do push-ups until they just couldn't do it anymore. Like literal torture sort of exercise. It's not actually exercise. It's literally just meant to be torture. So that's, pretty par for the course.
Charlie was already homeschooled and cut off from the rest of society. Maybe the couple thought that faking his
Homeschooling is, of
disappearance would allow
course,
them to do whatever they wanted without any oversight. Regardless of their intentions, their crime was clear as day. The two were arrested shortly after and stood trial over the upcoming months, with Charlie himself coming forward to testify against
They always homeschool. The kids that are like severely abused like that, they're always homeschooled too, of course.
them. And
Not
while they were
always,
able to
but-
avoid jail time due to a plea deal, they lost complete custody of Charlie, who now lives safely with other relatives.
So they just basically got away with it.
Were to testify against them. And while they were able to avoid jail time due to a
Yeah,
plea
they were.
deal, they lost
Insane. Insane.
On the evening of November 19, 2014, the Rockville, Maryland Fire Department responded to an intense house fire. The fire had engulfed the entire
House fires are so scary. They are so crazy. They roar, and you've got like all of this gas for the heat, and all the different you've got multiple battery sources in the house. You've got like all these different extremely flammable and explosive things. House fires, especially houses that are being literally lived in, full of stuff, is dangerous and terrifying.
double-story house and was getting more and more intense with each passing minute. It took them over an hour to get the fire under control, and the house was barely standing by that point. Now, fires like these can start for any number of reasons, from a stove left on to an electrical short. However, before the investigators could even think about determining the cause, 27-year-old Carlos Peralta, who was one of the residents of the house, walked up to an ABC7 reporter covering the incident live and made the wildest revelation. According to him, this fire was the result of arson. Not only that, but he was the one who started the fire just hours earlier.
Did he wait, he said that?
Walked up to an ABC7 reporter covering the incident live and made the wildest revelation. According to him, this fire was the result
Yep,
of arson.
he said it.
Not only that, but he was the one who started the fire just hours earlier.
Me, I set it on fire.
Given the sheer
I did it. So? That's basically how he said it right there. Just, so? I did. Cool.
strangeness of this unsolicited confession, the reporter didn't believe him at first. But Carlos was more than happy to provide more details of how he committed the crime.
I just poured gasoline on the floor, set it on fire, and went to buy a drink and came back.
Minutes later,
Just another day, guys. Like, literally, gasoline on the floor. Match. Went to the old store down the road. Grabbed a drink. Brought it back. Swigged on that drink and watched the house burn down. I mean, that's just what I did. I mean, what do you want from me? No big deal.
he walked up to the police officers standing nearby and confessed to them as well.
On the camera, he goes straight from here to be like, this dude's not believing me. I did this.
Went to buy a drink and came back.
Minutes later, he walked up to the police officers standing nearby and confessed to them as well. His clothes had the smell of gasoline, and a basic search revealed a lighter in his pocket, providing
Look at their faces. You can see the first dude. The first dude here is, you can see him mouth, "You set the house on fire?" And then the other guy right next to him goes, he's like, "What?" That's funny as hell. That's ridiculous. I'm going to scroll down a little bit so you can see police officer number 2's face.
confessed to them as well. His clothes had the smell of gasoline,
said,
and
"You
a
set the
basic
fire?"
search revealed a lighter in his pocket,
like,
providing
"What?"
the officers enough evidence to believe his story and arrest him on the spot. As for his motive, Carlos claimed that he did all this to get the media's attention about the deplorable living conditions in that house. However, burning down the house he wanted to report on made little sense. That is, until investigators dug further into his history and discovered that he'd been suffering from schizophrenia as well as alcoholism for the past few years.
Well,
he was
there you
also
go.
arrested for destruction of property just 2 weeks before this incident. Put simply, this house fire was the doing of a mentally troubled man who genuinely believed he was doing the right thing. The fire ended up causing $400,000 in property damage. Fortunately, the other 5 residents, including Carlos's own mother, were able to escape without any harm.
I was going to say, that place looked like a multi-unit for sure. it's not just one house. Like, you're setting multiple families, items, lives, ablaze, you know? That's insane. But yeah, schizophrenia will do that to you. You know, you'll do some pretty insane stuff. All while believing that you are perfectly justified, or just that whoever's in your head is telling you to do this it's the right move. You got to do this. You have to do this.
Oh, what happened to Carlos after his arrest was never made public, but given the severity of his crime, he was likely sentenced to several years in prison.
Well, maybe it wasn't made public because he was, you know, more of a mental instability sort of case. Oh, I would imagine that's why we don't actually know. Because if it was a normal court case, then we would know what happened.
On July 27, 2007, news helicopters in Phoenix, Arizona were reporting on a live police chase that was happening in the city. The chase had begun about 22 minutes earlier when the police identified and pulled over a stolen flatbed pickup truck.
Oh,
in
baby.
an attempt to avoid arrest, the driver, 23-year-old Christopher J. Jones, reversed into the police cruiser and tried to flee the scene. Unfortunately for him, word of the chase got out quickly, and minutes later, 6 different helicopters were tracking his every move. This included 1 police chopper and 5 others from different news stations. However, while everyone's eyes were fixated on the road, a tragedy was about to take place in the sky.
No, not the friggin'... Oh, no. Not the frickin' helicopter. Because always in police chases, you have the news chopper that goes up into the air. You also have the police chopper that goes up into the air. And they report on this. You know, one reports to the police and tells the officers on the boots on the ground where this guy's at. The news chopper, of course, reports what's going on to the people. I don't think this is going to be a good ending. Flying is very scary business. Just going to put that out there.
Stop. This may be the end of this thing.
Well, he's taking off
he's out.
running.
Okay, now it's a foot chase.
Okay, now he's jumping.
Now he's...
He's saying that this may be the end of this thing. I hope he's not giving us foreshadowing about what's to come, but not for him, more for the crew in the air.
Another vehicle. Okay.
All right, they're
doors
closing
open,
in.
please.
Looks like
Okay.
they've.
Oh, jeez.
We're gonna pull out. We don't know what has just happened right there. It looks like the police have closed in on him. We don't know what exactly has transpired between the police.
Seemingly,
She just changed the subject. It's so weird to me, and I understand why on one hand, but it's always so fake, because every single time something like this happens on the news, these anchors are so inhuman. You know something bad just happened, but you're just like, all right, so let's not even talk about that. We know that the police have closed around them and blah, blah, blah. Like, you just move on, and it's like your coworkers just died. Or something bad just happened, and you're just like, okay. Same thing with the first one, the first story in this situation. They're like, oh, I don't know what's going on there. Somebody, 3 people literally just got shot on camera. But I'm not even going to talk about that fact, and I'm just going to move on. Woo-wee. This is insane. The dude speaking, the man speaking in this footage is in the chopper, and he just goes, oh my God! And then they start.
Vehicle. Okay.
All right, they're
doors
closing
open,
in.
please.
Looks like
Okay.
they've.
Oh, jeez.
We're gonna pull out.
It's like, oh my
we don't know what
God.
has just happened right there. It looks like the police have.
I just can't imagine, like, that's it. You went to work today, and now you're just living your final moments. Like, you went to work, went up in the sky, and in about 30 seconds, your life went from just fine to gone. Well, like, what goes through somebody's mind in those moments? What goes through somebody's mind in those moments? What do they think? Do they just shut it off? It's amazing to me how we shut off these possibilities every day. But that's the thing, right? Like, because we live in the most connected, content-rich time in the world, we get to see, if we want, nothing but bad shit happening to everyone all the time at once. And so, like, it can blow things out of proportion and make it seem like, well, this is really dangerous. Yeah, people get in car accidents every day. But we all still get in the car. Planes go down fairly frequently. Helicopters go down fairly frequently. And it just happens all the time, but it doesn't happen near us. And so because we can get the video of it happening all over the world all the time, like, it seems a lot worse than it is, but it's still insane to me. Like really how much risk there is in everything that we do all the time. You know? We watch, like, sinkholes opening up one day on YouTube night, and it's like, that could just happen. That could just happen. Somebody could just walk up while you're doing your job interviewing somebody and shoot you. You know, like, just like in this first section. You know, it's just craziness. It's craziness to me. Anyway, tangent over.
Closed in on him. We don't know what exactly has transpired between the police.
Seemingly out of nowhere, two of the news helicopters' feeds abruptly stopped. They had crashed into each other before tumbling to the...
Oh, no! How do you crash into each other, too, on top of it all? Oh my god! They crashed into each other. Oh my god! And these are helicopters, too. Spinning blades, guys. Can you imagine the RPMs on a chopper blade? And probably what happened to the people inside of the chopper that got the blades into the cabin? I can, and I don't want to.
Ground and exploding on impact. One of the helicopters involved in this crash belonged to an ABC affiliate network, KNXV, piloted by Craig Smith with camera operator Rick Krolak. The other was reporting back to an independent Phoenix station named KTVK with pilot Scott Bowerbank and photographer Jim Cox.
Somebody
All
fucked
four
up.
were sadly killed instantly on impact, leaving the other reporters stunned and struggling to process the sudden tragedy.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my gosh. Oh. Phoenix Tower, Skybox 10. Just had a mid-air collision over here at the park. Two helicopters down.
Either he just finished sprinting to get into the pilot seat of the helicopter that he's using to circle this situation, or he is having a full-blown anxiety attack. Understandably so, either way.
Oh, my God.
Fortunately, the crash landed in an empty park, avoiding any additional casualties. A later investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board landed in an empty park, avoiding any additional
And
casualties.
by the way, look at that. There is
Fortunately,
nothing
the helicopter's
left.
crash landed in an empty park.
There's nothing left. There is nothing left of this wreckage. It is literally just a smoldering pile of flattened ash.
Avoiding any additional casualties. A later investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board concluded that the accident was the result of both pilots' failure to see and avoid the other helicopter.
Really?
But that still raises
Really?
the question of how. How could two experienced pilots make such a critical error? Well, the answer to that lies in how many news helicopters operated during that time. But first, an important thing to note is that when so many choppers are in close proximity, traditional air traffic control systems are not very useful. Instead, the pilots are instructed to operate under visual flight rules. In other words, they were responsible for keeping an eye on their surroundings and maintaining safe distance at all times. Now, this shouldn't have been an issue for experienced helicopter pilots like Craig and Scott. The issue, however, was that the two were doing a lot more than just flying the choppers. Not only did they have to monitor multiple communication channels with other helicopters, air traffic control, and the network, they were also reporting live on the action below as it unfolded before them. While juggling all these responsibilities,
It's a
one
lot,
of the pilots briefly
for sure.
lost awareness of their surroundings for just a few seconds. Tragically, that was long enough for the helicopters to drift too close and collide midair.
So
For
clearly
just a few
that Fox chopper was already in the air, because they literally watched that explosion happen as it hit the ground.
Unfolded before them. While juggling all these responsibilities, one of the pilots briefly lost
Yep.
awareness of their surroundings for
There it
just a
is
few
right there.
seconds. Tragically, that was long enough for the helicopters to drift too close and collide midair. The only silver lining was that the incident led to major reforms in news helicopter safety, including news stations using a shared single helicopter feed and studio ground-based reporting, measures that continue to save lives to this day.
It's really sad, like, just the level of trial by error that the human race has to go through all the time. It's so common. It's like all of the airport regulations that didn't exist before 9/11. It took an absolute tragedy for real, legit safety measures to be put into place. And in this case, it took 4 people dying for real news helicopter regulations to be put into place. So we do love that, Love that people have to die for, good things to happen.